Hi, my name is Felix, and this is the fourth progress video for my virtual reality flight game, UHawk VR. Since the last progress video, two new missile types have been implemented. Rather than using the standard and special weapon setup of the Ace Combat series, I've decided to make it possible to equip any missile type to any hardpoint. This means that you can carry a large number of the same missile type into combat. To balance this out, only air-to-air missiles can lock onto air targets, and only air-to-ground missiles can lock onto ground targets. The system switch can now be used to toggle the heads-up display. This can be useful if you're not in combat and just want to see where you're going, or if you're using the new taxi feature. By flipping the taxi switch with the engine on, the joystick can be used to steer the vehicle while on the ground. This is of course useful for moving into position before taking off. As you can see, the environment looks pretty different from the last video. This environment is based on the Greek island of Naxos, which is over 400 square kilometers big. It includes tall mountains and also some neighboring islands, which makes for a very diverse environment. The heads-up display has been updated. It now accurately shows some data like altitude, speed, direction, and which weapon you've got selected. Weapon selection is done by pressing left and right on the touchpad, while up fires a missile. To better explain this to the player, I implemented a small selection wheel, which shows the player what will happen when the touchpad is pressed. As you can see, some enemy targets now appear crossed out. This is dependent on the type of weapon that is currently selected. For instance, if an air-to-air weapon is selected, ground targets will be crossed out, telling the player that you cannot lock onto them. One of the new weapons is the Hydra Rocket. These are small, fast missiles which cannot lock onto targets. Instead, they can be fired in quick succession and do a lot of splash damage, making them an excellent choice for fighting several ground targets. The old standard missile has now been split into two: the AIM-9, which is an air-to-air missile, and the AGM-65, which is an air-to-ground missile. Currently, they behave similarly, with the exception that they cannot lock onto the same type of targets. Hitting air vehicles with the Hydra Rockets is possible, although a bit tricky, which I demonstrate. An ejection system has been implemented into the game. When the player jet takes too much damage, an ejection warning will be displayed. The player then has a few seconds to pull the ejection lever before the aircraft explodes. Doing so will result in blowing out the canopy and ejecting the player. While falling through the sky, the player needs to pull the parachute cord to activate the parachute. The parachute can then be steered by using the pulleys on the left and right side. While not a huge focus, since most of the time will be spent up in the air, I'm trying to make the ground as interesting as possible. And indeed, it can be pretty nice to just walk around sometimes. I implemented a new system for efficiently drawing a huge number of light sprites on the screen at the same time. This was done mainly so that the runway could be seen during nighttime, but I'm also using it to represent cities, lampposts, and other objects, which so far has worked pretty well. The explosion effects have been updated to use some advanced frame animation techniques. These animations only use 64 frames each, but use an additional motion vector texture, which is used to calculate intermediate frames, resulting in a much smoother result. And that's everything I had to show you today. I'm taking the next week off, so I don't know when the next progress video will be, but I'm aiming to have at least one more video out for July. If you want to follow the development of the game, you can either subscribe to this channel or follow me on Twitter, following the link in the description. I hope you guys liked it, leave a comment with your thoughts or suggestions, and I'll see you in the next one.